Welcome back to News in Focus. Now, Swedish activist Greta Thunberg has been one of those who have left Israel after they were deported by Tel Aviv. She was one of the 12 people on board of the Madeleine ship, which was seized by the Israeli occupation forces while attempting to breach Israel's blockade of Gaza. 8 more still remain in custody. And joining us now to discuss this, I'd like to welcome Dr. Hassan Jabareen, who is the General Director for Adalah. This is the legal organization that is representing the activist. Dr. Jabareen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and Jazakallah so much for joining us.
Assalamu alaikum wa jazakumullah khairan. Thank you for inviting me.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. Okay, so Dr. Jabareen, 4 have been released. Just talk to us about the difficulty in trying to get, obviously, through to the activists, given what had happened yesterday morning.
Yeah, yesterday after midnight, our lawyers met the activists, and they got information about what happened with them, and they provide them, our lawyers provide them their rights. Today, Israel deported 4 activists, and now they have 8 activists that they are going to bring them before court. The 8 activists are arrested. The 4 activists that they left, they were willing to sign for the conditions of release. And the 8 that remain, they are not willing. Now, how to explain those differences between those who agreed and those who disagreed? This is, in fact, part of the agreement among the groups. This is part of their strategical acts, that to let 4 of them leaving in order to explain to the world, to the media, to the world public about what happened with them, and to send that and to convey the messages against the siege on Gaza, to convey the message about the tragedy of Gaza, the massacres of Gaza, the genocide in Gaza. And the 8 that they remain, they are not willing to sign. And now the option for Israel to bring them before the immigration court in Ramleh, in the center of Israel, our lawyers will meet them there. And the main subject will be before this court whether to keep them or to release them. Now, we don't know what Israel will ask, but Israel is insisting on the fact that they have to sign for agreement that they won't come back to Israel, they want to do any activities against the Gaza siege and so on. The activists are not going to sign those conditions. So what will happen? We as a lawyer, we are going to argue that the detention is illegal. Why the detention and the arrest by Israel army was illegal, by Israel Navy? Because they were taking, those activists, they were taking from the international side of the water, not from the Israeli side or the occupation side, not from the side that Israel has effective control legally on it. They were taking from international zone. And thus, this is, the arrest itself is illegal. It's like sort of kidnapping them. And if this illegal, the conditions themselves are illegal. And thus, there is no way to agree to those, and the court should release them. We don't know what will happen. But generally speaking, Israel, I think, won't have interest to arrest them, because to arrest them, that means that you continue put the case on the media, international media, and Israel want to avoid that. On the other hand, if Israel release them without any conditions, also Israel is losing, because it shows that the political will of the activists was so strong and stronger than the political will of Israel. Thus, Israel in this case in situation of lose-lose. This is how I can see and analyze the situation.
Dr. Jabareen, so I just want to speak about the consent. So 4 of them have consented. If I stand to be corrected, what you're saying is are they still allowed to talk to media when they arrive at their respective countries. The reason why I'm asking is that we don't know the actual contents of this consent form. Can you speak to us about that, please?
Yeah, I think yes, they can. They can. In fact, in fact, in fact, they bought and they agreed to be released and to agree on the condition just for one reason, in order to be free and to speak to the media and to speak to the public about what happened. Thus, I think you can approach them and they will speak. The conditions usually are about that you are committed not to come to Israel, you are committed not to try again to come through flotilla, to break the siege in Gaza, and those kind of conditions. But they can't speak in the media, otherwise they won't sign.
Dr. Jabareen, I want to talk about the current 8 that are being held at the Givon prison in Ramleh. Let's discuss that and what's the way going forward in terms of the length of where they are going to be at this current prison facility, and what are the aims to try and get them out as soon as possible.
Yeah, we are trying, our lawyer, they are trying that the trial will be very soon and not to be delayed and postponed. And this should be very soon. It should be within 24 hours from the time of the arrest. And we are beyond that. So thus they have to be brought. And when Israel will bring them, our lawyers, as I said, they will raise the arguments against the arrest itself, that the arrest illegal, arrest, and Israel will say to the court, I am ready to release them under those conditions. Maybe in this case, the court will go to the middle. The court will release them and put condition. They won't be allowed to come back to Israel. They won't be allowed to come back to break the siege. And if they will do that, they will be punished. So maybe the court won't wait to the consent, because those 8 activists are not going to agree, are not going to sign anything. And the 4 that they signed by agreement of the 12. The 12 decided that this is part of their strategy in order to release some third and to leave the 2 third. So now everything on the hand of Israel, or in the side of Israel. Israel has to decide what to do. The activists, they decided what to do. The activists decided we are not going to sign.
Dr. Jabareen, one final question. International pressure. You've seen many countries, Turkey and Spain have probably sent out the strongest of statements in terms of its citizens who are being currently held in that prison in Ramleh. How much does international pressure assist Adalah as an organization in trying to get the rest of the hostages out?
We are in contact with the embassies. We are in contact with the foreign ministries of the citizenship countries of the 12. We update them about the situation, the legal situation. We update them about the meeting of our lawyers with the activists, and also the foreign ministry update their public about their situation. We assume that the embassies of those countries in Tel Aviv, they have behind the scene diplomatic contact with Israel about the releasing conditions, because the 4 who were released, they were released also through the embassies of their countries in Tel Aviv.
Dr. Jabareen, absolute pleasure having you on here. Shukran so much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
That is Dr. Hassan Jabareen. He is the General Director of Adalah, that organization representing the hostages that are being held in those Israeli prisons. After the break, foot and mouth disease has hit many of the livestock within the country. I'm going to be speaking to Dr. Barry Matuwembwa. He is part of the Transboundary Animal Disease Laboratory at the ARC Ondersterpoort Veterinary Research Campus. It's quite a lot. He's going to be the third doctor that we are going to be speaking to today on News in Focus. Do stay tuned.